Or on a Cowboys defense that has now given up 30-plus points 7 times this season, tied for the most such instances in the NFL this year, and those playoff hopes at sub 500 now, next to 0. Minnesota mathematically eliminated, but stacking up a couple wins. In studio with reaction from the fellas, and guys, I'm looking at a box score here, and I'm looking at an outcome from Minnesota. It is clearly too little too late, as the math already tells us, but 31 points in a shutout victory a week ago, Mac, 34 here in a win on the road against Dallas. Starting to see progress in the right direction for Minnesota. What do you take away from this one?
Solely, this is about J.J. McCarthy. You talked about the progress that we're seeing from their team offensively. It starts and it stops with J.J. McCarthy. Remember last week what he did against the Washington Commanders. He threw for 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns, 163 yards. He was very, very efficient, but he was phenomenal in red zone opportunities and, most importantly, scoring touchdowns. And then when you factor what he did tonight, the last 2 games, J.J. McCarthy has totaled 6 touchdowns. He threw 2 tonight. He also had a rushing touchdown compared to the 3 that I just mentioned. 6 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. This is what you want to see from J.J. McCarthy. Granted, the playoff hopes are down the drain. Now it's about building momentum for the future, building this relationship with Kevin O'Connell. To be at the maturation process of the last 2 weeks has been outstanding.
Have some patience with the bad that's still in the game.
Okay. I'm so glad that B-Mac, you said what you said, and Joe, you set it up the way that you just did. The fact is that J.J. McCarthy is with a coach in Kevin O'Connell who's very famous in saying that you need to give quarterbacks time. And he had a redshirt year, having the knee injury last year, so he didn't play. We can all have a conversation about whether the Vikings should have attempted to retain Sam Darnold a little bit more, whether they should have attempted to retain Daniel Jones, whether they would have been better options than J.J. McCarthy. But it's not that long ago. In fact, it was just a few weeks ago that J.J. McCarthy was being compared to Jamarcus Russell, okay? And people were talking about him being one of the all-time busts. And the fact was, at the time, he has less than 10 career starts under his belt. It was not looking good. And the stats were what the stats were. And he was compared unfavorably to Jamarcus Russell in terms of statistics. But what the Minnesota Vikings have seen at practice and on the field is not at all one of the greatest draft busts in NFL history. And they just wanted to give the guy some time. I'm not here to tell you that J.J. McCarthy in 2 years is going to be the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. It's not that. But has he always had within him the ability that we have seen the last 2 weeks? The answer is yes. And they just want him to stack and to build. The Vikings may very well go out this offseason and sign a quarterback who's going to come in and compete with J.J. McCarthy. He has not done enough to just earn the 2026 Week 1 job. But has he done enough to keep his post with the Minnesota Vikings into the offseason? I don't think there's any doubt about that.
I love the fact that tonight showed that he just played with a clear mind. Like, even he didn't let bad plays define him or let it snowball. We saw how many high throws he had tonight to receivers, and he comes right back and connects with those guys deep down the field, made some big plays, especially in the red zone, too. So you look at the last 2 games, you see right there, 66% completion percentage, 8.6, so he's not checking it down. He's being aggressive. And he's not looking to the sideline every time he has an incompletion or interception. He had an interception tonight, then he bounced right back, came out and threw touchdown after touchdown and made some key runs using his legs to get first down. So I just thought this tonight and last week combined, just play with a clear mind. He was playing free, playing loose. He looked like a guy that was really just locked in, just playing his game. Because earlier in the season, we saw bad plays start to snowball, and that's when he started to have those turnovers that we see right there, 11.
On the Dallas side of this one, it's defense, the question moving forward, because you'd like to think offensively they showed enough firepower this season to be in a place next year where they feel like they can compete with anybody in the world. This defense is simply not competitive enough. Their success this season tracks with that little bit of time we did see the defense perform, Mac, but you're looking at 30 points per game, the second worst scoring defense in the NFL. They've given up 30 or more 7 times this season, tied for the worst in the league with the Bengals and the Raiders. That's not the company you want to keep. Personnel-wise, what needs to change for Dallas heading into next year?
Well, I can tell you this much. It feels like that new car smell has worn off the new car. Remember when they made the moves to acquire Quinnen Williams, Logan Wilson?
Arrow was pointing up.
The arrow was pointed up. The new car smell was there. But now that smell is not there in terms of what we saw when they first made that move. The energy, the sense of urgency, playing stout in the trenches, being opportunistic in the secondary. This was a letdown performance. Because what we saw last Thursday against the Detroit Lions was surprisingly a letdown, but then you cater and you chalk it up as it's the Detroit Lions. They were at home. We know how elite they can be. They're offensive skill players.
But similar feels, to your point, almost a little bit of apathy or knowing that the writing is already on the wall for them when it hasn't mathematically been there.
Exactly. But then you come in tonight's matchup playing against J.J. McCarthy, who played fairly well against the Commanders, but they're in totality, they're not the same structured offense as the Detroit Lions, and you're at home. Remember the last time we saw the Dallas Cowboys playing there at home, they took care of business against the Philadelphia Eagles, fought down from 20-plus points. So it felt like watching this game, they were already out of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And that tells me something about the leadership or the lack thereof. Because mathematically speaking, you still have a shot.
Still. Now, the next time they play, they may already be out of it.
Yeah, but coming into tonight's matchup, you still have a shot. And the only way that shot stays afloat is if you do what? Win. And you allow J.J. McCarthy, whose second pass was an interception, to find a way to get his groove, and he outperformed your star quarterback in Dak Prescott. Their entire offense outperformed your offense. So from the Dallas Cowboys defensively, this was a total disappointment.
Yeah, now it's pretty plain and simple. You have to win out. Philly has to lose out for you to take the division. That's the only path into the playoffs, and good luck and good morrow.
That's more than a long shot.
Emery Hunt, your feeling with this Dallas team and maybe their performance over the last 120 minutes of football?
It's funny because when we were excited about the defensive acquisitions they made, we were like, oh, they're controlling the line of scrimmage. The last couple of games, they've been getting blown off the ball, just like tonight. They were getting blown off the ball by the Minnesota Vikings. They really couldn't get to J.J. McCarthy. They couldn't really affect the pocket. They let Aaron Jones pop off a run or two. So at the end of the day, their defensive line looks like it's run out of gas. Even with the new acquisitions, they just don't have the depth there to really get that rotation going. And when you can't control the line of scrimmage against any team that you play, you're going to find nights like you saw tonight from the Dallas Cowboys. And it looked a lot like earlier in the season where the offense will have to bail out the defense, score 30-plus points, and hopefully get one stop. But the defense, you couldn't depend on them getting a stop in no short yardage situation, nor a third down situation, which is why the Vikings ended up winning this ball game.
Yeah, the back seven of the defensive group for the Dallas Cowboys is going to be completely different next year. They're going to have to get some new linebackers. That may even be their first-round pick. Obviously, Trayvon Diggs has been out. They've missed a number of pieces there in the secondary. You like what they have up front, obviously, probably add another edge rusher at some point in the offseason. Has been a very disappointing season. And so, yes, they did have playoff hopes coming into this game. I think we all would agree that we did not see Dallas playing in January at this point. And so what I ultimately saw, one of the more concerning things is that George Pickens for a second straight game was really unseen and unheard from. And it wasn't that long ago on Thanksgiving and the weekend after that, we're talking about George Pickens. Are they going to franchise tag him? Is he going to get a long-term contract? And then he has a bad game. And he starts chirping with Richard Sherman back and forth. And now he has another bad game. And how is the rest of this season, now that they are essentially out of this, and I'm going to go ahead and call the Dallas Cowboys out of the playoff hunt, how are these guys going to respond? Yeah, go ahead and sharpen it. How are these guys going to respond? You know that Quentin Williams is going to be there. You know Dak Prescott's going to be there, et cetera, et cetera. Javonte Williams has played himself into a deal. But the guys like George Pickens, where literally millions of dollars are going to be on the line here, their response in these final 3 games of the season will help sort of make the way for 2026.
We'll see what it looks like moving forward. It's almost all but known now. Dallas not likely to be in your playoff picture would be the most unlikely ending with a win-out, lose-out scenario necessary. The Sunday curse. Most losses on Sunday Night Football since 2020. The Cowboys, with this loss, fall to 7-7-1. More to come here on